This is the legends of the Jews. We're in the creation of the world, the fifth day. On the fifth day of creation, God took fire and water, and out of these two elements, he made the fishes of the sea. The animals in the water are much more numerous than those on land. For every species on land, excepting only the weasel, there is a corresponding species in the water. And besides, there are many found only in the water. The ruler over the sea animals is Leviathan. With all the other fishes, he was made on the fifth day. Originally, he was created male and female, like all the other animals. But when it appeared that a pair of these monsters might annihilate the whole earth with their united strength, God killed the female. So enormous is Leviathan that to quench his thirst, he needs all of the water that flows from the Jordan into the sea. His food consists of the fish which go between his jaws on their own accord. When he is angry, a hot breath blows from his nostrils, and it makes the waters of the great sea seething hot. Formidable though the behemoth, the other monster, is, he feels insecure until he is certain that Leviathan has satisfied his thirst. The only thing that can keep him in check is the stickleback, a little fish which was created for the purpose, and of which he stands in great awe. But Leviathan is more than merely large and strong. He is wonderfully made besides. His fins radiate brilliant light. The very sun is obscured by it, and also his eyes shed such splendor that frequently the sea is illuminated suddenly by it. No wonder that this marvelous beast is the plaything of God, in whom he takes his pastime. So far, we've just been getting a real detailed explanation of the Leviathan, which was originally created male and female, but was way too strong, so the female had to be killed. In order to counter the Leviathan, the Most High created a tiny fish, specifically made for countering this huge monster that if there was two of, Earth wouldn't survive. The Most High seems to do things like this on purpose, so you can't judge anything by just looking at it. People would probably laugh at the little fish if it was to tell them that it was going to stop the Leviathan from rampaging. But the Creator created it for that purpose. Let's continue. There is but one thing that makes Leviathan repulsive: his foul smell, which is so strong that if it penetrated thither, it would render paradise itself an impossible abode. The real purpose of Leviathan is to be served up as a dainty to the pious in the world to come. The female was put into brine as soon as she was killed, to be preserved against the time when her flesh will be needed. The male is destined to offer a delectable sight to the beholders before he is consumed. When his last hour arrives, God will summon the angels to enter into combat with the monster. But no sooner will Leviathan cast his glance at them that they will flee in fear and dismay from the field of battle. They will return to the charge with swords, but in vain, for his scales can turn back steel like straw. They will be equally unsuccessful when they attempt to kill him by throwing darts and slinging stones. Such missiles will rebound without leaving the least impression on his body. You better believe when these words are being written, they either had things greater than the missiles that we have now, or they were speaking with those missiles in mind. We haven't developed anything that can go through the scales of this Leviathan. Let's continue. Disheartened, the angels will give up the combat, and God will command Leviathan and Behemoth to enter into a duel with each other. The issue will be that both will drop dead. Behemoth slaughtered by a blow of Leviathan's fin, and Leviathan killed by a lash of Behemoth's tail. From the skin of Leviathan, God will construct tents to shelter companies of the pious while they enjoy the dishes made of his flesh, and none will envy or begrudge the other who has better share. What is left of Leviathan's skin will be stretched out over Jerusalem as a canopy, and the light streaming from it will illuminate the whole world. And what is left of his flesh, after the pious have appeased their appetite, will be distributed among the rest of men to carry on traffic therewith. Going back into this paragraph, notice how the Most High sent the angels to fight Leviathan multiple times, to the point that they just gave up. And then after the angels had given up, then Behemoth came and fought Leviathan. And only then did they end in a draw. They ended up killing each other. One was not stronger than the other. It lets you know how strong this Leviathan really is. And remember, the Leviathan turns mourning into joy. It turns Israel's mourning into joy. Let's continue. On the same day with the fishes, the birds were created, for these two kinds of animals are closely related to each other. Fish are fashioned out of water, and birds out of marshy ground saturated with water. As Leviathan is the king of fishes, so the Ziz is appointed to rule over the birds. His name comes from the variety of taste his flesh has. It tastes like this, zeksh, and like that, zeh. The Ziz is as monstrous of size as Leviathan himself. His ankles rest on the earth, and his head reaches to the very sky. It once happened that travelers on a vessel noticed a bird. As he stood in the water, it merely covered his feet, and his head knocked against the sky. The onlookers thought the water could not have any depth at that point, and they prepared to take a bath there. A heavenly voice warned them, "Alight, not here." Once a carpenter's axe slipped from his hand at this spot, and it took it 7 years to touch the bottom. The bird the travelers saw was none other than the Ziz. His wings are so large that unfurled, they darken the sun. They protect the earth against the storms of the south. Without their aid, the earth would not be able to resist the winds blowing thence. Once an egg of the Ziz fell to the ground and broke. The fluid from it flooded 60 cities, and the shock crushed 300 cedars. Fortunately, such accidents do not occur frequently. As a rule, the bird lets her eggs slide gently into her nest. This one mishap was due to the fact that the egg was rotten, and the bird cast it away carelessly. The Ziz has another name, Renanin, because he is the celestial singer. On account of his relation to the heavenly regions, he is also called Sekwi, the seer, and besides, he is called son of the nest, because his fledgling birds break away from the shell without being hatched by the mother bird. They spring directly from the nest, as it were. Like Leviathan, so Ziz is a delicacy to be served to the pious at the end of time, to compensate them for the provisions which abstaining from the unclean fowls imposed upon them. That's the end of the 5th day. In this last chapter, we learned about a bird called the Ziz, and honestly, I haven't stumbled upon descriptions of this animal. I've heard about the Behemoth and I heard about the Leviathan before, but it wasn't until this book that I ran into the Ziz. They say the Ziz is so big that his feet touch the ground and can knock against the sky. Like that type of size, we don't have anything to even bring to our mind that's that big. And the Leviathan is just as big. But what stands out a lot to me from this fifth day is the fact that both the Leviathan and the Ziz are designed to be delicacies. In the world right now, we have this crazy push for veganism, and I understand the need to stop harvesting animals the way that we are doing it. But veganism isn't necessarily the answer. And not only that, it doesn't seem as if the Creator feels the same way. Now, we were definitely told to only kill what we need. Now, the way that we have our system set up today, we slaughter in hopes that someone will come and purchase this meat. We are killing animals carelessly. We're being reckless and relentless just to appease an appetite that is much stronger than it was even created to be. Eating meat as a whole can't possibly be wrong. But we are abusing things. Everything is to be done in moderation. And if the Ziz and the Leviathan are set up to be dainties, we have to sit back and really figure out why we're having such a heavy push towards veganism. And watch out for these meat substitutes. We shouldn't eat any of their meat. I agree 100%. But when I go to islands, and when you go to other places that's not in the quote unquote first world, you still see chickens walking around. You still see cattle just there. Now, when your family needs to eat, if you had cattle or if you had chickens and you killed one for your family at that moment and used it, and all the rest of them you took care of, and you loved and you cared for your animals, and you understand that them dying is a sacrifice and you respected it as such, the world wouldn't be that wouldn't lead to where we are now. What leads to where we are now is the industry of meat, the industry of slaughtering and and destroying forests in order to feed cattle. Cattle can graze wherever grass grows. There's no need to knock down forests to support an industry that goes against the Creator, and it goes against the creation. The earth itself is self-sustaining. It replenishes itself, but it has rules. This has been the Legends of the Jews, the creation of the world, the fifth day.